prosperity of our nation. Amen.
Papers.
Leader of Government Business.
Mr. President, I have the honor to lay on the table the following paper as listed on the order paper in the name of the Minister of Finance. The report of the Auditor General of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago on the financial statements of the Accreditation Council of Trinidad and Tobago for the financial year ended September 30th, 2013. Urgent questions.
Senator Mark.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. To the Minister of Health. Have the parents of the babies who died at the neonatal intensive care unit, NICU, been given permission to have their own representative on the investigation team?
Minister of Health.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Good afternoon to you and to all in this honorable chamber. Mr. President, may I once again express my heartfelt condolences to the parents and families of these children, of these babies. It is really a difficult time for all of us. To specifically answer the question, I can say that I have been advised that the internal investigation is proceeding as per established practice. I am further advised, Mr. President, that there is no room for external participation. Thank you.
Senator Mark.
Mr. President, having regard to the sympathy expressed by the Honorable Minister and the pains being felt by the parent, would the Minister not agree with me that there's need for some degree of reconsideration of the existing status quo to allow parents to have their own representatives on this particular investigation, Mr. President?
Minister.
Mr. President, I could simply repeat the answer. I am advised that the internal investigation is proceeding as per established practice. I am further advised that there is no room for external participation. Thank you very much, sir.
Senator Mark.
Can I ask through you, Mr. President, if the Minister could indicate what is the standard practice?
Minister.
That the internal investigations proceed as the name implies, internal. Thank you very much, sir.
Senator Mark.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. To the Minister of National Security. Given concerns raised by the President of the Fire Service Association that the Point Fortin fire station scheduled to open on April the 23rd, 2024, is without essential firefighting equipment, what contingencies are in place to treat with emergencies?
Minister of National Security.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, when persons, especially agents of officials of the state, go out into the public domain and issue reckless, unfounded, and therefore irresponsible comments, when they appear to derive warped pleasure from spreading bad tidings, rumor mongering, it traumatizes the society. It leaves people to feel unprotected and vulnerable, quite unnecessarily. Obviously, the senator is as well traumatized. He's here speaking about contingencies. We open the station tomorrow, And rather than celebrating in Trinidad and Tobago, we are here talking about something that does not exist. I give the assurance, well, the old people would describe that as being a bit previous, but I give the assurance that tomorrow the station would be opened and all of the fears and unfounded misgivings of the senator and those who inspired him will be laid to rest.
Senator Mark.
Can the minister indicate whether the president of the Fire Service Association is in fact generating and spreading false propaganda as it relates to his statement, which was publicly recorded in the newspapers on the matter of the absence at the material time of firefighting equipment and apparatus at the Point Fortin fire station, Mr. President?
Minister.
The individual to whom the senator made reference is not here to defend himself. We are here in the parliament, and I'm dealing with a question from the senator. He allowed himself to be misguided, as I've described it, disgruntled, crotchety, and complaining about something that does not exist.
Senator Mark.
On to the next question. This, next. Okay, thank you. No, supplement.
Mental.
One more supplement.
Yeah.
One more.
Yes.
Yeah. Can I ask the minister to confirm or deny whether his ministry is in a position to state whether the appropriate firefighting equipment and apparatus will be present when the fire service station opens sometime later on this week? Mr.
Minister.
As I indicated earlier, Mr. President, the senator was being previous. He must wait. He should drink his porridge cool, sip it. The opening is imminent, in fact, tomorrow. And I give the assurance that his unfounded fears, his frothing, would all be laid to rest tomorrow. Let him be patient. Thank you.
Senator Leiter.
Thank you, Mr. President. To the Honourable Minister of Rural Development and Local Government, in light of the eviction of several councillors of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation owing to the non-payment of rent due to the absence of timely releases, what provision has been made to ensure councillors can continue to serve the public?
Minister.
Thank you. I thank the Honourable Senator for the question. It's a rather unfortunate situation because the question is put what arrangements, provisions can be made to ensure councils can continue. Unfortunately, management is the answer. The corporation sits on over $1 million of unspent balances. The corporation has received 48% of its annual allocation releases, has requested its other 52%. It is well stocked with money. Management is critical. At a retreat of all CEOs, including the CEO of this corporation, up to Friday of this week, not a single request or urgency flag was put up in respect of this matter. And one can well imagine that when you're sitting on almost $1 million of unspent monies. So, Mr. President, perhaps my learned friend is flagging the difficulties in the corporation as run by his own party. That's all I can say.
Mr. Leiter.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, given that I am in possession of a letter, because the minister indicated he was not, no one voiced anything. Given that I'm in possession of a letter dated January 2024 from the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation requesting the releases, can the minister indicate if he's aware of this letter that was sent from the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation to his ministry requesting releases specifically for rent?
Minister.
Mr. President, there's a word, patchwork. When you seek to patch things together in an unspecified grounding, you end up with a submission like that. Mr. President, I can tell you that releases were made up to the 8th of April 2024 with respect to expenditure for the month of April. It's documented in the Standing Finance Committee and in the budgetary cycle that we told all corporations that we would have to apply the utilization of Viamont and monies moving from head to head this year. All other corporations have done this. If councillors have been put out of their offices by the own failings of their establishment, it really says a lot, because there are multiple methods to meet expenditure, including the utilization of unspent balances, Viamonts, and requests for urgency. Up to this Friday, unlike that corporation, Chaguanas had reached out for provision of sand and materials, etc., which the ministry went to work on. So I'm really quite surprised. In fact, the only request that we received that was urgent from the Sangre Grande Corporation was the request for a luxury vehicle for its chairman.
Honourable Senators, the time for urgent questions has expired.
Questions on notice, questions for oral answer.
Leader of Government Business.
Mr. President, I'm pleased to indicate, normally I'd go through questions on the order paper for oral response, question 90, question 91, question 93, question 94, question number 61, question number 62, question number 63, question number 95. The government is in a position to answer question number 90 to the Minister of Education, question number 91 to the Minister of Planning and Development, question number 61 to the Minister of Finance, question number 62 to the Minister of Labour. The other questions, as indicated, we request a deferral of 1 day.
Honourable Senators, the request for deferral of 1 day is so granted. Senator Dr. Shada Partasar.
Question number 90 to the Minister of Education.
Minister in the Ministry of Education.
Mr. President, there is a well-established process for the assessment of students who have suspected characteristics of a special education need or disability, inclusive of communication disorders. All referred students are screened for the presence of any disorder or disability. The initial intervention is provided by special education officers to support students in any area of deficit through the provision of an alternative intervention strategies. Referred students who are identified for comprehensive assessment are assigned to the psychologists of the Developmental Assessment and Intervention Unit of the Student Support Services Division. Students are referred for speech and language assessment when it is determined that they need additional testing to either confirm or rule out the existence of a communication issue. Mr. President, the Ministry of Education outsources speech and language therapy services for those students who have been assessed as having a communication disorder. And the Ministry of Education meets the cost of these services offered.
Are there specific guidelines that the students use, that the schools use to assess their speech and language?
Information before me, but I'll be willing to I look forward to maybe providing it in the future.
Senator Partasar, you have another supplemental?
Just question number 91 now to the Minister of Planning and Development.
Minister of Planning and Development.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. President. The National Statistical Institute of Trinidad and Tobago, NSITT bill is currently before Cabinet for approval. The clauses related to access to private and personal data, which invoked special majority requirements, have been revised to make them more proportionate in terms of balancing the rights of the public interest versus the individual right, thus removing the special majority requirement. Upon Cabinet approval, the bill will be referred to Parliament for introduction and debate. This is expected to occur this year in 2024.
Senator Patasar.
Yes. Can the minister advise what are the measures to, that will be implemented to ensure that the new institute operates with integrity and independence?
Minister.
Well, your question assumes, or you are saying, that the present CSO operates without integrity. So, Mr. President, I don't think that I can properly answer that question because I don't support that view.
Senator Patasar.
That's it. Thank you.
That's it. Senator Mark.
Thank you. Is it, I don't know, I see question 61. Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, question number 61 to the Minister of Finance.
Minister of Finance.
Mr. President, the National Gas Company paid the government a total of $2,126,789,101 for the period in question. The breakdown is as follows. In fiscal 2018, $664,619,327. In fiscal 2019, $192,940,990. In fiscal 2020, $109,930,015. In 2021, $109,705,282. In 2022, $529,749,625. In 2023, $519,843,862. To place this data into perspective, Mr. President, it is noteworthy that during the 6-year period 2020-2015, in the main under the UNC, the National Gas Company paid the government a total of $13,785,709,500 as follows. In 2010, $350 million. In 2011, $350 million. In 2012, $965 million. In 2013, $1.5 billion. In 2014, $4.85 billion. And in 2015, $5.77 billion.
Mark.
Yeah, I'll go. Question number 62 to the Minister of Labor.
Minister of Labor.
Mr. President, the Occupational Safety and Health Act, Chapter 8808, empowers the Occupational Safety and Health Agency to enforce its provisions and to initiate proceedings before the Industrial Court of Trinidad and Tobago against industrial establishments for safety and health offenses. Section 83(1) of the OSH Act states, and I read, where a person contravenes a provision of this Act or any regulations made thereunder, or fails to comply with any duty, prohibition, restriction, instruction, or directive issued under this Act or any such regulations, he commits a safety and health offense and is subject to the jurisdiction of the Industrial Court unless otherwise specified. Additionally, Mr. President, Section 91 of the OSH Act identifies the procedure for prosecution for such safety and health offenses. It is within this legal framework, Mr. President, that following the OSH agency's in-depth investigation into the fatal accident that occurred on February 25, 2022, at the Paria Fuel Trading Company facilities, the agency, in exercising its powers under the OSH Act, initiated legal proceedings for safety and health offenses at the Industrial Court on December 13, 2023. These legal proceedings were initiated prior to the publication of the report of the Commission of Inquiry on the Paria diving tragedy, which was laid in Parliament on January 19, 2024, and are independent of the findings of that report. Mr. President, it should further be noted that the OSH Act makes specific stipulations relative to commissions of inquiry or inquests regarding prosecution. Section 91(1) states that where breaches of the OSH Act is detected, that summary proceedings against the persons liable to be proceeded against in respect of such non-compliance over which the magistrate court has jurisdictions may be commenced. As such, proceedings have commenced in the San Fernando Magistrate Court as of April 2nd. Mr. President, the OSH agency is committed to effectively carrying out its mandate, which include the prosecution of safety and health offenses in accordance with the OSH Act, as well as promoting compliance with the provisions of this Act with the aim of protecting the safety and health of all workers in Trinidad and Tobago. I thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Mark.
Mr. President, can I ask the Honourable Minister whether, in light of the actions taken and as outlined by the Honourable Minister, whether the OSH authorities have taken any action to oversee and monitor safety standards and measures subsequent to the tragedy that occurred in February of 2023, I think, or 2022, I'm not sure. In
Minister.
February.
The OSH authority will always and will continue to look after the interests of our workers in Trinidad and Tobago. We have very competent examiners, inspectors, and professionals within the OSH authority that I am confident will, in fact, ensure and continue to ensure that all safety and health issues are dealt with expeditiously.
Mr. President, can I ask the Honourable Minister whether he is aware that subsequent to the accident or that took place, whether the company has established certain protocols and safety procedures that the Honourable Minister is aware of through the Occupational Health and Safety Authorities, Mr. President?
Minister, I have such information, Mr. President. It may well be in OSH, but the specific question is whether it has crossed my desk, and that answer would be no at this time.
Public business, private members' business, motions.
Honourable Senators, the debate on the following motion, which was in progress when the Senate adjourned on Tuesday, March the 26th, 2024, will be resumed. Be it resolved that this Senate call on the government to review the Commissions of Inquiry Act, Chapter 1901, and the Public Inquiry